Recording. Hello and welcome to Radical Gratitude, a gateway to abundance, class number 4. And I am Holly Beeler. And let's see, we're all on mute. So I want to recap last week. Okay, there we go. So last week let's see. Well, okay, so the first week we talk about how our minds are like gardens, and how basically if we want to create something new, we have to clean out the old. So the first week is on forgiveness. And we went through and we identified what it is that we needed to clear out. And we cleared up the energies within us in order to create space for what we wanted. And then week 2 was kind of a two-parter. We talked about the grieving process and how you need to acknowledge and identify that there needs to be a grieving process. You identify and acknowledge all of the things that you wanted to come to fruition and that they didn't. So I likened it to a farmer when they have a crop that doesn't harvest. It doesn't produce what they thought it was going to. And there's this big period of time that they put into this and resources that they put into it, and they have to clear it out and they have to start over again. And the second part to that lesson was getting really clear on what it is that you wanted to plant. And we called those our new stories. So we wanted to identify the new beliefs that we wanted to have. So I encourage you guys to create those new stories around the intention that you had for the course. Now, if your intention was around having more peace in your life, you could plant new seeds that had to do with that. If it was about money or relationships, whatever it was, you can do those new seeds and those new beliefs around that, and you write the new story. And then week 3 is all about the gestation period, and where it's the seed's time to receive. And it has to receive and receive and receive until it can grow and then produce fruit that then could be given or taken. So, are there any questions so far? And let's see. And if not, we will skip to this next week's lesson. So this week is harvest and share. Really quick, last week I had you guys ask for compliments or for feedback from other people, and we wanted to do it in an energy of receiving. And I encouraged you guys to be mindful of what it felt like when you did that, if you were rejecting any compliments or well wishes, and if you felt the need to give back. And if you felt the need to give back, did you feel the need to give back more so that you weren't in debt? Or like you just always needed to have that going? And so you'll see those tendencies spill over into other areas of your life. And this week, we're going to talk about the law of flow, the law of sacrifice, the law of compensation, and the law of sufficiency and abundance. So week 1, we talked about the law of sacrifice as well. And we talked about a few other laws, but the law of flow is that everything is always moving and shifting and changing. And one of the best examples for this in nature is like water. And it will take the path of least resistance. If there is a rock in the way of a stream, it will simply go around it. It won't try to push through it. Although over time, the water will wear on it, and it is very powerful. And the law of sacrifice we talked about in another week, but that's giving up something of a lesser value for something of a greater value. And we practiced that really in the law for that first week when we did forgiveness. And this week we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it a little bit differently. The law of compensation tells us that that which we give out returns to us somehow. And it is typically that which we give out, that which is ours that we give out, comes back, like only ours comes back. And what I mean by this is, so it's not just physical things, but it's energies as well. So, okay, I can feel a little bit of resistance to this already, and that's okay. Just take a really big breath. We're going to work through a little bit of the beliefs around this. So with this law, it's a little bit tricky for people to understand, because if you've been one of those people who in some way, shape, or form has given and given and given and given, and things don't always come back the way that you give them, this law tells us that it will come back to us somehow. It might not look the same. Like if I give something to someone else, they may not give it back in exchange, but it will come back to me somehow. Our part in this law is being open to receiving that. So a couple beautiful things about this law, and if you are interested in this law, Marianne Williamson has a book on the law of divine compensation, and I really love how she shares it. But some people liken this to karma. But if I was to pay a bill, I was, say I'm writing a check and I'm begrudgingly doing it, and I'm so frustrated and I'm in fear because I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay it next month. So I'm bringing a certain energy to it, and then I'm sending that out into the world. And I will get more opportunities back to me of having that situation over again, being more fearful about money, being more fearful about that bill. And on the other side, if we go out of our way to make someone else happy, we smile at them, we open a door. Those are things that we are sending out, and they will come back to us somehow. Again, though, our part in this is to stay open to receiving it when it does come back. Now, here's the question. What happens if that was going to come back to us, and at that point we were blocking it? The really, really beautiful part about this law is that it always returns to us. And so if we're not ready for it, and I have goosebumps, and that typically tells me that I'm sharing truth. When we are ready for it, it can come back to us. And Marianne Williamson did an interview with Oprah. I just love the way that she words these things. And I have seen this in my own life. And this was a huge fear of mine of giving and giving and giving, and then it just missing the opportunities for it to come back, and then being gone. But what she said, how she said it, was that they're held in a trust for us, basically, that which we give out will come back to us. But if we're not ready for it, it will be kind of like held in the heavens for when we're ready for it, when we're open to it. And so I hope that my explanation of this will give some of you some hope that all of the things that you've been doing over the years, and the things that you've given, and the services, if we work through the beliefs that are currently blocking them from coming in, they can start pouring in. Okay, yeah. So it's it's really actually interesting. Settle says that she just really, really loves that. Oh my gosh, I love that. So last year, my word was generosity. Just be generous. And I was giving and giving and giving, and I lowered my rates, and I was giving away courses. I was doing scholarships, and I estimated how much I had given last year, and it was over $15,000 worth of services and goods that I had given last year. And the cynical part of me was like, well, where's mine back? Like, where's my law of divine compensation here? And as I kept searching for answers for this, and I was shown to go in other different places, and then I had seen Marianne Williamson's interview with Oprah, and I had gone back to it, and I was like, oh my goodness, I get it now. I get it now. This isn't that the laws aren't working. This isn't that God isn't blessing me. This is that I am not receiving them. I am not willing to receive. So, total tangent, but somebody needs to hear this. When we look at more Eastern ideas of body, mind, and spirit, there's symbolism within the body itself. And what I'm supposed to share is that the left side they call the yin side, or it's the female side, and this is the receiving side. So if you have body ailments that get you on the left side, we can potentially identify where you would have a block with receiving. Sometimes in the wrist is that you are not willing to receive and you feel like you need to do more things. I don't want to tangent too much, but it feels a little bit important. So if someone comes to me and they say that they have issues with their right wrist, sometimes that signifies to me that they have a belief that they have to do more. And so the right side is the masculine side, and that's the doing side. And there can be an imbalance within these. So that's the law of compensation, and hopefully I covered everything that I wanted to. But the beauty is if we can work through our blocks to receiving, it's there. It's not far. It's like the way that I see it is it's all just right here outside of us, and we just have to open it up and it will come to us. So I talk about grace, and a lot of people talk about abundance, and what they mean by abundance is like money and good things that constantly happen to you. And my verbiage for that is grace. And grace is the channel in which all things are given to us. And it is abundant. And I really loved a talk by Elder Uchtdorf, Dieter F. Uchtdorf, and he gave a talk about, there's a quote, and I'll post it, and I have a little visual that I posted a long time ago to explain what it is that I do with work. But he talks about that God is always pouring blessings upon us. They're just constantly pouring on us, and that's grace. They're there. They're there for the taking. It is up to us to get to a place where we can receive them. And he likens it to the umbrella. And like an umbrella, it is our fear and our doubt and our worry and our sin that makes it so that we can't receive these. And when I heard that, goosebumps again, I was like, oh my gosh, this makes sense. What I do in my work is I help teach people how to close their umbrella. I don't do it for them, but I teach them how to do it, how to close it, and how to keep it closed. Because our natural man mind and our fear mind is going to tell us to constantly open the umbrella and hold it and protect us, because we're hardwired for these things. We're hardwired to look at the negative. We are hardwired to look and at our surrounding outside areas for danger, and that gets us searching for things to fear and searching for other things that are not good. Now, this served us hundreds of years ago when we did need to be on guard all the time, when we lived out in nature and there was the wild and there were bears and there were snakes and all kinds of things that we needed to constantly assess our the risk of danger. And our minds haven't really truly adapted yet to our lifestyle changes. So now we have things like anxiety, and a phone can be stressful. I mean, we can look at a phone and it can cause the same reaction inside our bodies as a snake would to someone hundreds of years ago. And I can kind of like feel some giggling to that, because some people are like, oh yes, I know what my snake would be here. And it might be public speaking, or it might be um like a wide variety of different things that we didn't have back then. But you are afraid of it just like you would be a snake. So big deep breath on that one. So the next law, okay, so let me go back. When we can get our minds to feeling safe and believing that things can be graceful and easy, and that we don't have to work for everything, that we can have gifts given to us, we work through all of these things that keep us from receiving, we can start really, really receiving all of the goodness that God and the universe have for us. And it's literally that pouring of blessings constantly. Excuse me. So the law of sufficiency and abundance, and it's that you have everything already within you that you need to live the life that you desire. Have gratitude for what you currently have while still looking forward to amazing possibilities. This one I love. So let's see, where do we go first? Okay. What this one is basically telling us is that we don't need to constantly search outside of ourselves for something different. We already have everything within us that we need to be happy in this moment, to have joy in this moment, to have health and all of these other things. Now with health, I'll tangent that for just in a second, but we can only live in the now. And so if we're constantly telling ourselves, I'll be happy when, fill in the blank, that tells our mind that we are in search mode, and we will always be in search mode. So, trying to find something. My kids and I did a little activity, and we'll use it. Okay, so it was a little activity, but we'll do it like this. So I will be happy when okay. If we believe we'll be happy when X happens, we will constantly be searching for that. And so we'll get us stuck in this searching space. So this is searching, right? We're constantly in searching. And so when we do this, the thing that we're desiring could be literally right here. But because we've told ourselves that we will constantly be in searching space, we actually push that thing away a little bit. And no matter where we go, it will always be far away from us. So we create this energy right here. But when we change it and we say, I'm happy now, I'm okay now, I'm safe now, I'm abundant now, and I'm excited for when this happens, like this kind of thing happens energetically. And then we work into the feeling worthy and deserving to receiving that. And then that clears it out too, because if we feel like we're not worthy, we're not deserving, we're going to push them away. So with this last one, the law of sufficiency and abundance. So feeling like we have everything that we need within us creates a feeling of content and happy, but we can still look for better things. So what I'm not saying in this one is, okay, so we moved to the St. Louis area, and we're currently renting. And the house was built, I think, in the 50s or 60s. And apparently Missouri has like an ant problem. And and we have ants like in the walls right now, and we've sprayed numerous times, but we're going to have to do something different. We're going to have to probably spray in the walls. So if I was to enlist the law of sufficiency and abundance, I would go into, I'm so happy for this house. I'm so thankful for this house. And we start identifying all of the things that are working, because that gets us into this energy of being really, really happy and content and grateful for what we have, so that we'll actually start attracting more to us. And we meet in the middle. So we match our energy to this thing that we're searching for. And as we do that, it comes to us as well. But if we have these different things that push it away, these are our beliefs and our energies. So if I'm constantly telling myself, oh, I can't stand this house, these darn ants, it's just so ridiculous. I spend so much time on it, blah, 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 blah. So I'm focusing in on that. What my brain does is it constantly works to being right. And if it believes that you hate your house, it will show you other ways that you hate your house. And in this gratitude space, we're able to tune into different things. So, okay, I'm going to write a note and I'll come back. We get into the energy of being what it is that we want. It's not fake it till you make it. It's not, we're not just pretending, but it's choosing into it. And then the physical catches up to us. So what we've done already is we have decided what our plot of land is going to look like. And I should know to just prepare to do drawings because they typically come up. I am not an artist, and I do not claim to be one. So, okay. So here's our little plot of land. And then we've created it in our minds. So we want a little seed. So we plant that little seed, right? And then, so we plant it and we nourish it and all of this, and then we wait for it to come into physical form. But we have to match all of our beliefs and energies around it. And then eventually, the physical will catch up. Let's see, can you see it? Light, there we go. It will catch up. So if you want peace, you actively seek things that will help you feel peace. And even if you are not 100% peaceful right now, we search for ways that we can. And peaceful does not mean that there won't be hardship. It means that you'll handle it better. If you are searching for financial freedom, you keep, if we focus on being debt-free, we still have the word debt in there, and so that is where the focus will be. If we want to be financially free, we can step into abundance or prosperity, and so that's where we focus. So we don't want to focus on what we're trying to walk away from. We want to focus on what it is that we want to move towards. Hopefully this is making sense. So those are the laws that we're going to enlist in this space. So this week we harvest and we share. So we've fed the seed, we've nourished it, we've held on to that vibration, that belief of it blooming into a flower or whatever else it's going to be. Let's say it's a fruit tree. We believe it's going to be a fruit tree, and so then we treat it like a fruit tree. It may mean that we water it more or less. It may mean that we give it more or less light, and it may mean that we give it a particular nutrient, right? But if we believe it's going to be a different type of plant, we'll treat it differently. So we want to treat these seeds uniquely, how they need to be in that. And how we do that is in inspired action steps. So we're constantly checking in with ourselves and our hearts and saying, okay, what do I do today? What can I do to get me a little bit closer to this? And only inspired action steps, because when we go into this space of having to do more to get it, we will also push it away, because there's other laws here that play out, but it's the law of non-resistance. And detachment. We have to let go of outcome, and we have to not try to force things, because when we try to force things, it ends up hurting them as well. So let's see. Let's talk about the homework first. And then I'm going to go back to a couple things. So the homework for this is, last week we received, and many of you probably felt a little antsy and felt like you needed to give back, and that's okay. That's wired in us as well. But we want to make sure that it is a good balance, because if people start giving me things, people have given me one thing and I feel like I need to give them two things back, I will constantly be indebted and I will constantly be empty. So we focused on receiving and collecting all of these things so that then we could give them out, and it wouldn't take from us. It would just be us giving and sharing. So there's this give and receive cycle where we need to be flowing on both ends. So receiving would look like the energy coming in, and then giving would be out. And, on the person on this end, they're giving and we're receiving, giving and receiving. If there is a block on any side of this, there will be issues. In this cycle, like say this is you and this is another person, it's going to go like this. If you find yourself only giving because you have hidden judgments about people who need to receive, then you will not let yourself receive. If you have judgments on people who give, then you will not, the judgments go both ways. And I think Brene Brown talks about this a little bit in some of her books. I can't remember which one, but I remember her talking about that, and how she was always the giver, and she kind of judged people who needed the help, because she was like, oh, I don't need help, but oh yes, I'll totally help you. And we really need to practice being able to be on both ends of it, because if we judge the people who need help at any given point, we all need help, and that's the honest truth. We all need help from someone, somewhere, at some point in our lives, whether that's other people or the universe or God. We all need to receive. And if we block being able to receive from other people, we will also likely block from receiving it from God. And we will potentially get into the energy of no, I can do it myself. It's all on my back. I'll do it. And, I'll just go. And it'll all just be my doing. And then if we send out that signal to other people, remember we talked about how we have these electromagnetic fields, and the HeartMath Institute has science that shows these magnetic fields where we give and receive these signals. If you carry the belief that everything needs to be on your back and no one else will do their part, they will actually feel into that subconsciously and they will start taking it easy. I don't know why I said that, but someone needed to hear that. Not quite sure where I was going with that. Okay, so the empowerment aspect of that is that we can change our beliefs and our outside situation can change and other people can start behaving differently. So the homework for this week is give in some way, shape, or form daily. That can look like something in the form of money, buying something for someone, or it can be giving a smile, a hug, a compliment, anything, big or small. But my encouragement this week is we're utilizing these laws that are in place. We're going to give out intentionally. So make sure that this is intentional and it is filled with gratitude and love. So what we don't want to do is, say I have like this little amethyst. If I'm about to give it to somebody and I'm thinking, fine, I'll do this. I only have to do this because Holly told me so in that silly radical gratitude course, and I don't believe that it's going to happen, but whatever, I'll do it anyways. If we give like that, we're cynical, we're maybe a little bitter, a little ungrateful. That is the kind of thing that is going to come back to us. So we want to be super intentional because this is a little bit selfish, and that's okay because we're simply utilizing laws to work in our favor. We're not hurting anybody, and we don't want to be fake about it because that's just going to be fake stuff going everywhere. But if we go deep into our hearts and we say, okay, who do I want to give to, and how do I want to give, and what do I want to give? And then in our hearts tell us, go do this and give it to so-and-so. What's most likely happening is that you're tuning into inspiration, intuition, and it's like, I'm totally seeing it. It's checking into where needs are. And it's like heaven gives you an assignment and says, this person needs a smile today. And it's like you take the assignment and you're like, I'll go do that. Someone else is going to do that for you at some point. Like, this is the exchange. I totally see the visual of like little assignments being above us, and it's our job to tune in and to pluck one down and to share it. So I work with like visuals and pictures, and I kind of interpret them and share them. Share or record your experiences, please. The reason why this part is so important is because it is contagious. We are contagious. No matter what we are thinking, feeling, anything, it's contagious. If someone who is very angry comes into the room, all of a sudden everybody feels a little different. That's contagious. If someone is bright and happy and joyful and they come into the room, that's contagious too. So we're literally focusing and intentionally working to help heal the world, basically, making it a happier place, making it a better place. And that's why generosity videos on Facebook go viral. That's why these heartwarming stories go viral, because when we watch it, we feel it too. When you share a good story, it elicits that emotion in someone else, and that's why Pay It Forward works so well. I heard once, I can't remember where, but someone had paid for someone's meal at like McDonald's or something, and the person later talked to one of the workers and said that it went on for like 4 hours just because one person paid, and it continued because someone had their meal paid and they're like, whoa, that's so nice. I want to pay for the person behind me and I want to keep it going. And if someone stops and receives it, that's okay too, because maybe they really needed it that day. Maybe they didn't really have the money to spend on that food. And so that extra $3 or $4 or $10 was a total blessing for them. And you took the assignment. Maybe you took the assignment down, and the God in the universe saw that an hour down the road, that person who really needed it was going to get it. So be super intentional about this. And I want to talk to you about what's going to come up here. And it's okay. And the whole reason why we do all of this is so that we can work through these things. Now, I often share when I first had these types of things shared with me, and I was encouraged to give. And I can still remember the feelings that I had. And we weren't in a great financial spot. And we had, when was it? I think we maybe still had, I think we still had the 5 extra kids with us. I can't remember. Or it was just after. So I remember having the assignment given to me and remembering what my mentor had done. And I was thinking, okay, so what can I do? How can I give? And so one of the suggestions was to take all of the coins from your car or extra money and put it into a tip jar. And I think I had like a gift card for Starbucks or something. And I was going through the line, and they have these little jars for the tips. And I remember thinking, well, I could put it. Okay, so let me actually backtrack. The original story that was told to me was this mentor purposefully took money and threw it out like on the road because she would run, and one of her things was when she ran, she would always look for money, and so she would pick it up. And so that brought her joy. So she wanted to give that joy to somebody else. And so in my mind, I was thinking, oh, I can't do that because I don't know who's going to get it, and I don't know if it's going to go to a person who needs it and all that stuff. So then I was like, well, what do I feel comfortable with? And I was sitting in the line, and I was thinking, okay, well, I could take this extra change that I have in here and then put it into the tip jar. And my mind went to, but they already make their wages. Like, this isn't a waitress kind of thing. I was a waitress a couple times, and so I give generously to waitresses because I know what that feels like. And like, I was a waitress at Denny's for a little time, and I remember being tipped 20 cents one time because an elderly couple paid the tip based off their discounted price, which they had a like big discount. So I remember what that felt like. I was like, oh my goodness, okay. And so the reason why I bring that up is I looked at hourly wages differently. I was like, oh, well, with a waitress, yeah, you give an extra tip, but they had this. And then I was thinking, where does that come from? Why am I thinking and feeling these things? Like, why am I so particular about where my giving goes? Do they not deserve it? Are they not good enough? Like, doesn't everybody deserve goodness? And so I had to really go deep within and identify where all of these beliefs were coming from. And I remembered that I am more introvert and I'm not super pushy. And when I was younger, the more aggressive and pushy people got what they wanted. If it was food, it was the kid who swooped in first and got more food. And I was at a babysitter's house a lot. And or like, I'm being reminded of those wedding dress deals where women are like fighting over the cheap $100 wedding dress that normally is like $5,000. And it's all like a dog eat dog world, and to every man for himself kind of thing. So I really had to work through those. And I finally worked through it enough, and I got up the courage, and I had like $3 or $4 to $5 in change. And I threw it out my window one day in my neighborhood. And I had to really let go of where it went. I needed to let that go, and I told the Heavenly Father, I told God, this is in your hands now. I trust you. I trust that wherever this goes is exactly where it's supposed to go. And I needed to let go of that, to let it be judgment free, so that when stuff came back to me, I didn't have those judgmental energies with them, those judgmental thoughts and feelings and beliefs. Okay. So let's go back to the essential oil protocol. And like I said, I'll talk you through why we do these so that you can feel into the different energies that we're going to work with. But you don't have to do them. You can just feel into it, and we'll connect you guys to those energies. So Arbor Vitae on the top of the head is for grace to flow. We're opening this up. And then cypress and wild orange is, so cypress is motion and flow, and orange is abundance. Remember, we want this to be free flowing. So if we're receiving grace and abundance and then it flows, it's just this constant thing. So just like with water, it's cleaner and healthier when it's constantly flowing. The same as with money. We don't want it to be super stagnant. We just want this free flow. It doesn't mean you can't save, but it's how you save is really important, like the reasons and the feelings behind why and how you save. So these are going to go on the palms of the hands. And the reason for this is we also have the heart meridian that goes in. So we're wanting to open it up, this giving and receiving channel. It's actually receiving and then giving. Lime and peppermint over your heart area or the bottoms of the feet. And the lime is a zest for life, and the peppermint is a buoyant, light heart. And then Melissa, or if you don't have Melissa oil, there's a blend elevation that you can use, and then geranium. So this is the energy of light, love, and trust, and over your solar plexus. We want to connect to having this light and love and trust in our power space of being able to do these actions in this, not in fear, not in doubt, not in worry, not in lack, not in scarcity, not in control, but just love and trust, and knowing that what you are doing is inspired. Take a big breath on those. And without going into those, we release a lot of things, and we bring in a lot of good and positive vibrations with these. There's a lot of emotional release work that happens when you apply essential oils in general, but also when you apply them specifically to different places. Okay, any questions so far? Okay. The last thing that I want to talk about really quick, and I'm surprised I wasn't led to share this in the beginning, but that's okay. So in this space, when I created this course, I didn't realize what all it would entail when it's come kind of for full circle. And what I realized was in this space, in this heart space, we have a negative belief and a core negative belief that have other ones that are connected to it. But then we also have a core, an antidote that really remedies it. And when we are feeling like we have been ignored, we've been abandoned, we've been treated with indifference, we've been forgotten, we are not looked after, we're not, we're feeling super overlooked. The antidote for these feelings is gratitude. Because when we go into gratitude and we start searching for all the ways that we can be grateful, we start seeing all the ways that we weren't overlooked, that we were watched over, the ways that we were blessed and that we weren't left. God never leaves us. And that's the antidote. Because when we tune into that, we tune out of this belief of being, just treated as if we don't exist. treated as if our wants don't matter, and um, a variety of other things. So that is one of the core false beliefs that I talk about. I talk about it in some other things. And one of the, so Seidel, Schultz, and I have a 100 Days of Grace course, and that covers the root chakra. And that grace is the antidote for feelings of not enough. What? Okay. Okay, so we have a comment that says, I got a bloody nose the other day and gratitude totally helped it stop. That is awesome. That is totally awesome. So if you're interested in more of that stuff, you're welcome to contact me or Seidel for the 100 Days of Grace course. It's literally life-changing. We have been completely blown away by the course. And I do work with some of the other beliefs in another program. You're welcome to contact me if that interests you at all. But I really just wanted to share this course with you guys one last time. And the reason for that is because I have felt to make it a book, actually. And a little bit of anxiety around it, but it'll be okay. So I want this in a format that is easy for people to digest and read and share and just spread the light and the gratitude and just the really good feelings with people all over. So my ask for you guys is, if you, so this may have been the first time that you've done this course, and you may be a repeat student of this, so I've done it a few times. If you have any testimonials, any personal experiences or stories that you've had some success with any of the principles, any of the lessons, the whole course in general, I would love to invite you to write a story or testimonial that could be potentially added into the book. I'm looking for stories that talk about each of the lessons, but then the whole course in general. And I'll share again the story that I shared last week, which there was a girl who's completed 365 days of her gratitude journaling, and they bought a house. They built a house, built a new house. And she says that if she had really, if we had told her a year ago that this was going to happen, she wouldn't have believed it. Never in her wildest dreams would she have thought that this would have been possible for her, because their finances were so limited and tight. And it totally makes my heart happy to know that I was able to share principles and actions and ideas with people that enabled them to change their own lives. So if that interests you, please email me at support@hollybuehler.com by June 1st. Please keep them 1,000 words or less. And again, as the course as a whole, or any of the lessons that were shared. So if you had a really big success with the forgiveness aspect, or the grieving aspect, or choosing into a new story, or receiving, or giving, please share about that, or you can share about the whole course. And then I do want to let you know that all of the stories will be subject to professional editing for spelling and grammar purposes. So yes, I'm very excited, and I hope that you guys will consider sharing your stories to be published into that book. And I'm hoping to have that printed and available for purchase this next fall. So, any questions? And if not, I will let you guys all go. Thank you so much. Oh, let me bring this back to me. Let's stop share. Okay, I'm back. Thank you so much for joining me in this. Thank you for showing up. It is not easy to do that. Thank you for being willing. And just for the pure fact that you're here is really great. Don't know how to put it into words. It's commitment energy. It's change energy. It's hope energy. And just keep with that. And I'm here if you have any questions, even after the course is over. So housekeeping, this will be available for 7 days after the course is over. And I will start deleting lessons 1, and then lesson 2, and then lesson 3, and then lesson 4. And then the group will just go away. So, and please let me know if you would like to be on the info list of when the book comes out. I will happily add you to that and then send out emails when that is done. So thank you again for everyone who has shown up and who's done the work. And please, please, please share your experiences. Share how you gave. Share how you received. Share all of it, please, because it does spread. It does spread. So it's like you do 2 good things in one thing, because if you do it and then you share it, then it's like double. So, all right, you guys are so welcome. And so if you missed any of these, they're recorded and they're in the group. Okay, so you can go back to those and watch those. So, all right, have a wonderful day, guys. Love you all.